I can afford to pay for both of us when we go out, but I prefer it to be for my initiative, so it kind of loses the full. It's like I'm taking my younger sister out to lunch. Number 5, timeliness, if you can't be there when it's necessary. Bother to arrive on time for a date. I'm clearly not interested in speaking with you anymore if there's a third party involved. I understand that keeping me waiting only indicates that I'm becoming disinterested, especially if you can't be. Bother to inform me that the 6th person is a social media dominator, needing to publish boring pictures of oneself appearing attractive every day if a woman requires it. Number 7, if she has, I have no chance on my own. I have the entire world to reassure them. Standards in her bio, which I pass. In my experience, women who truly have standards don't make their standards public. They go on the date, and if you get a call the following day, you'll know if you meet the requirements. It's in my experience is code for demanding a lavish date and lifestyle regardless of my financial situation or achievements just because I'm a woman. The true lady with standards will take a step back and evaluate you, adding, "She seems to be mentally grading school papers, and I can't emphasize this enough, if and only if." Will you receive a text message the next day if you meet your standards? If you cross everything off the list, you might even receive. If she has too much free time and wants to spend it with me alone, I'm lucky. Number 8. I'm not sure why, but it's occurred a few times when it became apparent that she only goes to work, talks to me, and watches TV or movies. Do not misunderstand me. I have no hobbies, no shows, no books, and no pulse. I would be unable to live life for the two of us, even if I were the most fascinating man in the world, but I do enjoy talking and spending time with you. Number 9. Unkind to retail or service employees, persistent liars, and demanding payment for goods. I'm not sure how to express it, but I too detest it when someone excuses their actions by using their horoscope or gender. Detract from other people's actions. For example, I cook and clean for myself as a man. Therefore, I don't require a woman to do it for me or anticipate it, but if I don't want to do it once, I detest people who will only act like men or according to their horoscope. Story 7. Nothing irritates me more than the feeling that you never do anything. I'm being interviewed or examined because I can clearly recall a chat I had with a woman that she had a checklist that included questions on her age, income, drinking habits, and smoking habits, refused to give me a chance to speak, and eventually disregarded my inquiries. I wished her luck. Interview individually. I know a woman who had just material aspirations in life. She views life in monetary terms and desired to live in a lakefront home with a sailboat and an airplane. Now you would be mistaken to believe that this is a business executive in the M-King who is climbing a high ladder. I can afford these items since I work in the service sector and have no plans to quit, but if I'm going to be praised right now, but nay, story 8 at this college girl with a pleasant disposition. When I invited her to my dorm to watch Netflix and relax, I saw right away that she had a how-to. Rank has a really serious bow issue, and when she removed her shoes, it was worse than some of the people It's not a deal breaker. Perhaps she simply had a busy day and hadn't had a chance to play basketball with. We all need to take a shower, so we got together a couple more times, and when things worsened, I tried giving her a few subtle clues, and she eventually revealed to me that she was interested in something called natural hygiene, followed by multiple weekly baths or even the use of shampoo or deodorant soap. But note I was out. Story 9, that my nose vetoed it, so I'll toss 2 on. They say that you don't deserve me at my best conduct if you can't tolerate me at my worst. Whatever the case, I don't deserve you, and I'm okay with that. I see this as someone signing a bad check. I don't understand their behavior and associated incapacity to control themselves when they're angry. Emotions are what they are, and you can always control your feelings, whether they are anger, sadness, or any other behavior I am exhibiting. Determining that every argument must be won, and that it's acceptable to say things out of anger during a quarrel. Bonus: as I was typing, I realized that none of us are flawless. The first two individuals don't work alone, possess imperfections, but this is who I am, and it is unacceptable to utilize me for destructive behavior. If the girl in question has a lengthy history of broken relationships, story 10. When discussing a serious matter, I always attempt to learn a little bit about the individual's past, especially if she had a lot of casual relationships and still believes she is a free spirit, which is a serious warning sign that I honestly don't. It's bullshit when someone abruptly switches from a casual relationship lifestyle to a serious one. Of their fingers, I have nothing against casual things, but I try to look for like-minded people if I want something serious. Assuming that you can change someone is counterproductive, and you'll probably wind up squandering your time. Additionally, I try to weed out people my age who still think like college students if I'm working full-time and have my. Due to my daily time limits, I don't have time to devote to someone who probably doesn't comprehend how limited time is. Departed following a work week, and to be honest, Street 11 didn't have joyful parents in a healthy connection. I mean, if everyone is in good health and not poisonous, then she can have happily divorced parents. Of course, it's not. It's a girl's responsibility if her father abandoned her when she was 5 years old and her mother is a narcissist, but wow, that stuff corresponds to a woman's behavior in a relationship far more often than not. I've dated too many ladies that I saw imitating their mother's actions with their father, or in such circumstances, a woman who was raised to be. A good individual raised by her parents is not the same as someone who picked up personality traits through osmosis. I'm old now, and I've stopped forming partnerships with any red flags, so it's a shame if that doesn't include. Absolutely excellent ladies, but you need to use narrative 12 unfairly to play a numbers game. You want me to avoid interacting with ex-partners, so you impose rules in the relationship, such as limits. Particularly if you've been cheated on in the past, but if you insist on looking through my phone whenever I use it, I can't ask why you have one-on-one. Every week we go on dates with your latest ex, after which we break up right away since hypocrisy and unequal power dynamics are unacceptable. I have a major crush on this home because of the way they handle disagreements with the people they're dating or have dated. She was one of the most attractive females in the school from middle school to high school, and one day I'll be in her shoes. I saw her hanging some kind of flyer on a bulletin board for something she was doing as she was making her way down the hallway to the restroom. Angry, her boyfriend, or perhaps her ex-boyfriend, came up to her and asked, "Why are you telling everyone I received it?" Little thing, she simply said because it's true, and they continued to fight, but I nearly lost it when I passed them, and the entire thing destroyed my 5-year-long crush on her right away. I need cuddles to survive, therefore I can't do long distance. If you're going to look through my phone, at least buy me dinner. First, but really the most important factor in long-term success, according to narrative 13, is trust. There is a lot of forgiveness in relationships, in my opinion, and being able to express and extend the same forgiveness that you would anticipate if something that happened to you is crucial, and it's clear that there are boundaries too frequently. I believe we establish these connections to be these ideal things, but in practice we must make them function rather than presuming that this is the precise kind of. A person or circumstance will only tolerate anything that truly ruins a relationship before it even starts. Thus, I would say being self-aware and having good communication skills will help a relationship succeed, or at least give. Being able to share hobbies with someone is a two-way street, and I'm rather invested in my fandoms. It's sufficient for you to be curious about how thrilled I get when I talk about them, even if you're not into them. Before 2 years ago, I hadn't really gone through that with a partner. My most recent ex, for example, went so far as to. I must admit that binge-watching One Piece with me was likely the most significant aspect of the relationship. To me, just being like, well, I have this thing I really like, and it's extremely important to me before she watched it. I didn't hold back when she asked me what it was about. I talked non-stop for 45 minutes. She was a. True troopers don't always treat you the way you don't want to be treated. Occasionally, they open your eyes to. I will always be appreciative of the things you do since, in all honesty, personality is more important than appearances. Although they don't play a significant role, if someone acts like they're hot and says, I should give you everything. If you're willing to take the time to speak with me and we get to know each other, I'm going to avoid you because you're not worth it. If we can talk about a variety of topics and have similar interests, then a relationship would be fantastic. If not, get along, don't hold grudges, part ways, and go forward. Story 14. Continually takes advantage of themselves, becomes very defensive when you ask them questions, and is prepared to put on a show. You can glue the pieces of the plate together and use it to demonstrate how hurt they are. Again, but if you don't alter your beliefs or thoughts, the drama will never be the same, and it will be incredibly insulting. Accordance to their own, to the extent that they are prepared to disparage your beliefs in order to make a point. Feeling of superiority. I've encountered numerous ladies who feel that simply because they're female, they should be given the. I'm not cheap, and I'll gladly pay for the entire wine and dinner, as it's our duty as men. I'm not interested in working on it if I ask you, but all you have to offer in return is a nice face and a terrible attitude. Your personality, and acquire one prior to dating you, even though a supermodel would be jealous of your lack of devotion. Compassion in general, but when she's simply a female, that's what I find to be a huge deal breaker and what instantly turns me off. There is nothing wrong with wanting to be a stay-at-home mother right now, and I hope I can afford a lifestyle that could afford for me to have my wife be an at-home mother, but I like educated ladies who can. Providing financial support. For example, if I were ever unable to work and we had children, I would want to. I believe it is both of our responsibilities, since I am aware that my family is thrown into poverty and that my children will face difficult circumstances. It's a better team structure for parents to be educated and able to make a living, and if you wanted to work 5 years and then, in theory, manage to be an at-home parent for 5 years, without mentioning that it would look good on resumes, or, in most professions, the assumption that a number of elderly, foolish politicians will die younger in the next 10 to 15 years. Hopefully, those who took a class on modern economics and endured multiple inflations will make a change. Additionally, I find that the ladies I'm looking for are emotionally stable, so perhaps posting this could spark a social thought. Mentally mature people only look at the present, not the future or anything as ugly as I would like to. If you're enjoying the video, I adore you now, but I also have folks who drink, smoke, or spend too much money later in life. Remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons for more videos like this one about 15 dishonest girls who lied all the time, no matter how big or tiny, and we weren't dating. But later, when reality set in, such as when my father died, she didn't care and wanted me to keep responding to her fabricated nonsense about being hired to work for a cruise line that somehow failed, or that Trump is essentially God to American companies who don't contact to ask if you got the job or not. Instead, they just inform you when you're there. Lego would never create Billy Eye and Gojek cat sets because they are not suitable for American families. She bought pocket toys from Walmart instead of suing them for failing to provide her with retirement benefits, and she won without going to court or. She even had me all excited when she said she would come visit me after having a lawyer to lie and cover her eyes. It didn't work out wonderfully the week before, and she said she couldn't leave a job she was often complaining about despite her claims that she and her family were wealthy. They lived in a Brooklyn apartment that was yet full. When I checked it up, she quit a job, if there was one at all, around 2 days after she was scheduled to arrive. I eventually stopped leaving her since she was poisonous, but each time I attempted to leave, she tricked me into being. She said that I was her only friend, but she argued with me all the time, so she stated she needed to take a vacation from her phone and went ahead and erased all of her accounts and everything she had added to my already fragile trust concerns, such as why she lies so much about what's happening. Story 16 has a number of deal breakers for me, like feeding off my attention and then figuring it out when it wasn't about her anymore. I suppose, but just to mention a few, they're quite significant ones that I've been considering over the past few years. For instance, even though I'm only 32 and recently single, I don't want to have any more children. If someone wants to remain with me in the future, they must realize that if they do, we will not be creating any more life. It's not a deal breaker if they already have kids. I'm just not interested in having any more. With the notion of using a different donor or getting my girlfriend pregnant in some other way if the person I end up dating in the future doesn't agree with me not having any more kids, they won't go. To be content with me so I don't waste their time, and I'm also not sure if I want to be married at all. Once more, the prospect of ever being married again is essentially tarnished by my upcoming divorce, not that I'm against. Marriage in general is lovely, but it's not for me. I suppose I'm less stern in the stance, though, if I discover the right woman, and she's honest about it right away. But I still give her a chance, since she might be designed to influence me so that the person I'm dating knows that dating could lead to a common law marriage, I suppose. Unless they are extremely convincing, this is as far as the connection will go. These are two things that many women claim they're fine with not having children right away, which worries me because they could believe that's acceptable. Getting married again or never, then becoming enmeshed in the romantic essence of a relationship, and then altering their thoughts and desire more, then berate me for my position on those ideals as well as my overall desire for a partner with. Finding a woman who doesn't want any more children and who is near to my age is important to me because I'm still quite young. Doesn't want to get married, which will be difficult because, as I previously stated, I'm just 32 and already have 2 kids. I'm looking out more for myself and my children now that I'm going through a divorce because I've harmed my partners and they've hurt me. Future Story 17. You don't need my passwords since you lack trust and are jealous. You don't have to search through my phone or constantly know where I am. I'm a person with the right to. I understand that your previous girlfriend had an affair with a buddy, but that doesn't mean I'm doing anything illegal. Your dad, but you won't discipline me for her actions. If you don't trust me, we can't be together. To accuse me of infidelity each time I interact with a guy acquaintance or if I like an Instagram post. We can't be together because I'm an adult and I need to be with someone who can communicate and handle situations like an adult. Setting healthy boundaries and having conversations about your feelings need not entail accusing one another of crossing invisible lines. Story 18. If I were to resume dating, there would be. Being single should be a given for many number ones, but it's too difficult for many women and men as well. Yet if you're a straight man and just want to date women, you're the second dishonest person. There are always lies in me. At first, I'm willing to put up with little lies that are expected when a woman appears as a spokesperson rather than herself, but not so much. For instance, don't tell me you don't have any children. I'm also impatient with the assumption that you will act as my representative when you actually have 5 people still living with you. Instead of myself, therefore I'm simply placing my cards on the table, starting at number 3 and playing hard to get in. I'm in my mid-30s and don't have the patience to play this game. If you do this, I'll be walking number 4. I won't just know what you want me to do as a twin, so you should just know that. Can attest that telepathy does not exist and that each person has a unique brain with unique mental processes. Priorities: either get off and do it yourself the way you want to, or openly express your ideas like everyone else. It should be clear that if you're an adult number 5 comparing me to her ex-boyfriends, if you were going to claim that they were mistreating you, then the fact that I am not them should surely make you happy number 6. Making a big deal out of nothing and not giving enough thought to the reasons I have many health conditions. My significant other's understanding of my troubles is really essential to me, and it goes both ways. Of course, tale 19 there are 3 criteria I use when choosing a date. First, did she disclose the truth about her appearance? Second, did we click? Does she raise a red flag on the 3rd date? That's a no. I've been on a date with a female who was. I won't go out with her again because she's 3 times my size, but I will have a great time and be the ideal. As best I can, gentlemen, I have my own views and I refuse to compromise them. She then inquired as to what I'm into home gaming, fantasy, and other general nerdy things, but she was really into sports and such. When I mentioned that I wasn't interested in sports, she added something else, which leads me to my next point. We fix that red flag alert. I'm stable and don't require any repairs. Make a mild income to sustain myself, work without fear of termination, and be in good physical health. I informed her that I didn't. Smoking, drinking, or doing anything else of that kind can all lead to a horrible date. Telling me we'll correct it when it indicated it didn't like something in the 20 p.m. story was the greatest thing that turned me off. Like, I'm not a full-fledged feminist who supports reparations or anything, but I'm objectively. They face challenges in life that men couldn't fathom, and I believe that our hardships are reciprocal. Totally alien to them as well, because they don't experience our lives, but based on what I've heard, I'd prefer to deal with our difficulties when I'm speaking with a girl and she begins to talk about how women should be housewives and how they live their lives in easy mode. It's really unappealing because I believe it indicates that she is either extremely lazy or desperate, neither of which I want a child to experience. Need to provide financial support or something. I want a spouse that is equal to me and who has equal obligations at home and financially speaking, I apologize, but cleaning the house is simpler than working, and I feel more than at ease when I get home. My 12-hour shifts now, and I won't fully shoulder someone else's burden of cleaning up any small mess I make. Financial obligations to avoid having to fulfill them, as well as girls who subtly hint that I wasn't initially interested. However, he eventually won me over or something, saying that while appearances are essential, personality is more vital. I don't desire you because you're not physically attracted to me. My partner should find me attractive and like my personality. Little things like how his mentality compensates for his appearance are so demeaning to me. Story 21. That sounds like love bombing or going too quickly. I've lately dated a couple women who had long-term plans. They must have dated some terrible guys since. Even after one date, they treated me like I was fantastic for just having my. It bothers me to feel like someone who doesn't know me is elevating me because I live a decent life and have manners. This used to flatter me, but now it's a warning sign. It's not that I don't want others to be enthusiastic or interested in me, but I believe that things like pressing me about having children would. lists of potential dates, or attempting to schedule 4 separate evenings in the week following the initial date were valid causes for concern. They also had a date who appeared to gain approval by making me perform tasks. It's difficult for her to describe without going into specifics, but what began as fairly simple inquiries changed over time. By the end of the evening, it had escalated from what felt like instructions to something more subdued in public after we returned to my house. Last but not least, others have stated that it didn't feel proper to be bossed around in my own house, particularly on the first date. Additionally, I'm competing with others, but my issue is with social media bullshit. I can't even receive a friendly hello or a decent morning, but her entire morning routine is visible to me online. They began dating before cell phones and adored our relationship. Ability to talk on the phone or simply sit and chat, but now they say to look at my Instagram or anything. I apologize for what she has been up to, but just so you know, I don't use social media and would much rather be speaking with someone one-on-one over the phone is preferable to texting all day. Occasionally sending a text is acceptable, but not. Story 22. Why do women not engage in hobbies on their own initiative? Their personality for 4 months before switching right on to the next thing, giving up hobbies altogether or thinking about, without understanding anything that isn't the top 40 or daytime trash, TV and music, are their hobbies. This is why ladies are typically, I would like to be swooned to, or have the chance to be the distant one playing hard to get if you're as boring as Jesus Christ. As a woman, I would truly take satisfaction in my ability to initiate contact or cover the cost of a date. What's the deal? Breaker incorporating me into your image without considering my lack of interest in anything related to your past. Your issues are unfortunate to be in a good relationship right now, but 10 years ago I thought women were attempting to reverse the conventional dating system, which was beneficial, but one day it evolved into an interview for Anne. The interviewer already had a serious BOSA violation story, and the employer could not even be interested in me. 23 mommy problems are the complete reverse of daddy problems, and there is absolutely no upside daddy. Problems arise once or twice a year, perhaps during a family get-together over the holidays, and it's a terrible day, but the weird intimacy to follow mother troubles doesn't ever stop. Every week or every other week, family arguments result in a meltdown when someone is relocating to a different hemisphere. These arguments are like black holes. You will have to choose a side, and there isn't a winning one, so you can't stay out of it. Never take mom's side. You're against your partner's side now because she's being rational, and you suddenly despise her. Family, and this will never be resolved. In addition, it will prevent weeks of intimacy. Moreover, all of the problems associated with mommy concerns include completely ridiculous first-world issues. Arguments like these are quite uncommon when it comes to actual wrongdoing. All of the concerns that have either been professionally handled in the past or are about to be professionally handled include: will arrive if she was cruel to me on my birthday last year. Story 24 focuses on the relationship between her needs and wants, not yours. Leave no room for you to keep her around, which is cruel to other people's expectations. Folks to work for her rather than engaging in perspective manipulating conversations about others behind their backs. Resolve disputes covertly as 1,000 blued spiders dressed in human suits manipulate your emotions in order to. Watching how you respond to events produces drama, tests your record of serious unrepentant offenses, and I feel terrible about myself when I use drugs because I'm cruel to animals and disrespectful to servers, and I also lack. If someone has read one of her communications, she must be able to express her wants and feelings clearly. Have you read any of John Gowen's books or watched a relationship video where they discuss master couples who communicate most well in their academic pursuits? A lady must do so in order for me to know that I can become something more serious than casual. After learning about the psychology of partnerships, I was unattached for her. I finally discovered her because I understood what kind of lady I wanted for a long time, and I'm positive that my current. There are a lot of shallow, annoying, petty people in story 25, including my girlfriend, whom I will marry and have children with. One significant one that I believe is frequently disregarded is someone who lacks ambition for achievement. I don't need you to. The CEO of your own business, but I've encountered a lot of 30-year-olds who say they're enrolled in school, but in fact, they're living with, taking a single-gened class at community college while their parents work in retail. You're not a student. You're just. For heaven's sake, take a college course and make a plan. After that, I'll be okay with someone who has a regular work, but there must be opportunity for advancement, ideally in a field that provides a pay and perks. My wife planned to become a maxillofacial surgeon when we first met in college, but that changed. After becoming a pediatric cardiologist, she worked as a molecular scientist before leaving to become a PA at an. After graduating from PA school, she worked in the NICU for a year at urgent care until eventually. She's doing amazing work in a NICU, and I'm just bringing it up to show that plans can change. However, the motivation to perform better still there, and it may even show up as I'm comfortable where I am right now, so I'm trying to get the most out of what I do, as long as it's something. Story 26. Lying and Guy, my best friend, and more than menial duties. Fortunately, I get to use my passport 3 or 4 times a year, and am content with my own life, which is good since it gives me plenty of time to travel if I can't trust you or have to worry about some OVs. My best friend and I share a bed, and he rubs my feet and does other things that. I'm really cool. I cherish my quiet above all else, and I have decided not to bother anyone by bending these strict bounds, nor bargain for no one. I'm not about to start dating someone who moves here because I'm not under a lot of stress. Who has a side waiting for a fight before he leaves you again, or who are the goalposts of truth? Please let me know right away so that I don't waste time. I won't question it, and I wish you the very best in life. Even if the guy had previously had history and lied about it that I've walked, they would still miss me with all that lol. On the same day that I discovered we had nothing to talk about, he ended a 3-year relationship based on that falsehood. Please give me peace all day. Baby story 27. Life is too short to be seeking and negotiating love. Wanted me to be the only source of money and stronger so that I could support them both with such a disproportionate disparity that I might just as easily be the stoic one paying for all of our outings and dinners. I feel the need to constantly flirt, be intimate and be romantic, but I also want to be independent and a feminist. A woman wants me to perform the household duties as an equal partner, using her body as a. You can't have it both ways, meaning you can't do anything she wants and follow her preferences. Possess both the advantages of a conventional patriarchal relationship and the advantages of an equality-based relationship. To be clear, I'd much rather have the latter, but if she wants to, that's just viewing your partner as a benefits machine. She must accept the responsibilities that come with a relationship based on equality and feminism. In my view, the aforementioned is a case of a man being used for financial gain, complete with emotional and psychological abuse. I've dated far too many narcissistic women who act that 28 attitude is everything. They ought to be loved, or they do anything they want, even deceiving and emotionally abusing others, and acting as though their behavior has no impact on others. I've dated at least 5 different women who would say things like, "We're breaking up," or "I don't want to date you," which would be quite emotionally harmful. However, 2 days later, they return and say, "I changed my mind, but I still love you," but they won't say sorry. God, I feel terrible just thinking about what I used to put up with. We all recognize the symptoms. One typical example is when they get totally destroyed, act badly, and then pretend that we should all put up with it while defending her screw that I prefer to date an adult rather than a pampered grown-up child. This is frequently demonstrated by their behavior as though they were a gift, simply because they're attractive and don't do anything else than spend time together, touch me, do chores, and treat me like a human being, etc. Another typical instance is when their profile consists solely of a list of grievances and checklists. About males, holy cow, you couldn't make me flee more quickly. Story 29 is everything to me. Regarding empathy, I recently ended a long-term relationship that I had pushed far too hard for years since it simply didn't work out. For my child at my own expense, but if you always find yourself defending yourself despite your best efforts, then at some point, you'll hopefully see that it's her who accepted some assistance and screwed up. When she was ill, I assumed my duty and kept a fort for years. However, when I became ill, I lost all empathy. You should examine yourself closely if you feel that you are constantly defending yourself and that it is not justified in any way. In your circumstances, it might be you or it might not be you, but it is. All unjust criticism, and it's killing you to struggle for recognition if you have to exert all of your energy to get noticed. You should go on, trust me, Tale 30. They truly aren't worth it. It's okay for us to disagree, but when other things are brought up that don't relate or make you angry, we can't. Enjoy yourself for the remainder of the evening, or until I change, you're denying me closeness. If any of that is a deal breaker, perhaps it's varies from guy to guy. But when I tell my best friend to screw you, he says, you have a problem with me, then in the same breathe, where would you like to have lunch? Oh, I see. There's a wonderful place I've been meaning to check out. Having disagreements is a healthy way to be as long as you're both being fair and truthful with your feelings and your respect for the other person and their feelings without being controlling or hiding other aspects of yourself. That's I want all of you, and you get all of me, so if it doesn't work out for me, I won't be in another. After 5 years of silence, I always feel like I'm receiving the truth, but I also feel like I have to be careful what I say. That is the most terrible life I have ever known. The journey outside is difficult, but it is preferable than the difficult hiding place. And even worse, if you enjoy these stories, YouTube has more that it thinks you'll enjoy. That video